Hey Sean, how's it going?
It's going amazing. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you for coming on and talking to me about your life and your business. Tell me a little bit, just for our viewers, what is it that you do right now for your job, your day job,
Yeah,
and your side hustle?
it's actually taken a big transition in the past couple weeks, one of which I'm not even sure you know about. So I can kind of dive into that as well. But yeah, so for those listening, I am a studio manager at F45 Training. So we specialize in mostly functional fitness. They're HIIT style classes, so 45-minute classes. We have cardio days, strength days, and then what we call hybrid days, which is just kind of a mix of both. Functional fitness is just fitness that's going to translate very well to longevity and everyday life. So that's what we do at F45. And then I also run my own online coaching business and I take one-on-one in-person clients, personal training wise. So my online coaching business, we do a lot of things. So a full coaching, like tier one client would receive specialized, like individual programming for their strength training. I also have a lot of run clients as well. I'm a runner. So training for races, Ironmans, things of that nature. A lot of lifestyle clients as well, which is just strength training. And then I'm a nutrition coach as well. So teaching them about nutrition, how to properly fuel, and just creating a relationship with them really is my favorite part about what I do and getting to know each and every client and just how I can best serve them. I was doing both of those things for a long time. My last day at F45 is actually going to be on September 30th of this month.
Wow, big steps.
Yeah, where I'll then be going full time with the business. So I don't even think I got to tell you that yet. So that's a new one, but that is what I do right now.
Yeah, I think that's an important backstory for viewers is you were my trainer, right? And I
Yeah.
I was going through a hard spot with my life, joined F45. I was that girl that walked past F45, said, "Oh, I'll never be able to do that." And
Hmm.
then I started going and really got a lot of strength out of it. That's great to hear that you're going full time with your thing. We actually had a conversation last night. We had a webinar all about starting a company, and we have clients who want to kind of break out and do something different like that. So
Hmm.
I definitely will ask you a few questions about that. I guess to kind of give viewers also a little backstory on how you got into this. How
Yeah.
did you decide to prioritize fitness and nutrition as a career path? And
Hmm.
like, what are you seeing right now with some of your clients coming in? Like, what are some of the barriers to improving lifestyle quality and getting fit?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. And I like going back for this question a little bit just to give anyone listening and you some context. I grew up playing sports. So I humbly say that I was a good athlete growing up. My brothers were athletes. So I was always just kind of around the athletic scene growing up. I want to say I played football and basketball my whole high school career. And we had a really good strength program in high school where we got introduced to weight training in a pretty healthy way. And it was a lot of fun, right? Because you're around the guys on the team, you're learning a bunch of different lifts. You get a little ego boost when you hit a certain lift. Like that's kind of when I fell in love with it. But then over time, just transitioned to more training styles, more of a regular resistance training, lifestyle training scheme. I like to say I've done bodybuilding, all different types of training in the gym, functional fitness like F45 is. So I've always kind of been around that, is why I say all that. I've always kind of been around the gym. And I give a lot of credit to my mom growing up and my dad, really. Specifically, my mom, she was always just really, she was waking up at 4 a.m. my whole life, like going to the gym, getting her workout in before she had to go to work and come home and take care of us. And so I just kind of grew up seeing that at a young age, which I think set the tone for me, not only physically, but also nutritionally. Like we were the house growing up. I mean, we had snacks laying around, but like my mom, when I'd have friends over, was always cooking us like a nice, nutritious big dinner. So we were always eating really well too. She home cooked meals growing up. So I give her a lot of props and realize that, a lot of people don't have that upbringing of like eating right and a parent who's teaching them those things, which is a big barrier, which I can get into. But that's kind of the
Mhm.
background of how fitness came into my life. And then making it a career is kind of wild. I studied sport management in college, actually. So a little bit more on the back end of the fitness world, I want to say. But I actually got my Bachelor of Science in Sport Management and then got my Master of Science in Sport Management from the University of Florida. I graduated with my bachelor's from Coastal Carolina. And then my Florida program was just an online program that I actually did from here in Charleston, South Carolina. So I say that because I originally went into college athletics more on the operations side. So when I say back end, when you work in operations for a college athletic department, you're not necessarily in the weight room. You're working with the strength and conditioning coach, you're working with the basketball coach, you're working with the volleyball coach. You're kind of the operation of functioning as an athletic department as a whole. While I was doing that, I was personal training on the side. I got my CPT, your certified personal trainer certificate, when I think 2020, I want to say off the top of my head. So kind of around that COVID time. And then it's just something that, like I said, always loved. Started training clients, just like friends and close relatives on the side. That's really what I was doing at first. And then, they started to see results. I started to get some testimonials. And, in the back of my head, I was always thinking like, man, I would love to do this full time. But I know it's just not really feasible for me right now or ever. I didn't think it really ever could be back then. But then, as I was working at F45, started working there 2022, beginning of 2022, just meeting more people. It's a beautiful thing about group fitness. So F45 is group fitness classes. We have anywhere from 8 to 30 people in a class at a time. So you meet a lot of people. And I credit F45 for me being able to meet a lot of people in the industry and just awesome people who are looking to better their lives and get into a consistent routine fitness wise. So that allowed me to meet a lot of people. I started taking one-on-one clients on the side in F45 as well. Kind of grew that clientele to the point it is now, where I'm stepping away to take my business full time. So that's kind of a condensed version of like how I got to where I'm at right now. As far as your barrier to fitness question, I think as humans, we have very limiting minds. So what I see a lot, what I saw a lot at F45, what I see a lot with clients that come to me is like, when we're having that initial conversation, they really don't believe in themselves. So really it's just instilling that confidence in them first that, hey, anyone can get into fitness. I don't care if you're 600 pounds, like you can make steps, you can stack bricks every day to see progress. It's just doing that in a sustainable manner, which is what I try to teach my clients. You're probably not going to want to give, somebody right off the bat 6 days of cardio in a row, intense cardio. It's just little things like that, knowing how to structure a workout, knowing how to talk to a client. I think confidence is the biggest barrier that I see to answer your question.
Actually, we did a segment on communication and confidence and what's going on in our brain. And we talked a lot about acting and the fourth wall and like how actors have to break through that fourth wall, and that there is a little bit of confidence that you don't just become confident, right? It's you practice. And while you're practicing, you're feeling like shit.
Yeah.
But you're doing it. And you're like, well, I'm just going to. And so we talked a lot about with Ultra Speaking, which is a partner of ours, we talked about staying in character. So I'm going to stay in character, right? I'm going to lay the bricks. And then eventually I've got enough bricks stacked where I believe that I can lay the bricks. And now all of a sudden, because I believe I'm doing it, I'm confident. And it's this process, right? And then what happens is, and I talk with clients a lot about this, is that it's like, how do we become competent? Well, competency is just confidence applied. It's like, I'm going to continue to do this, and I'm going to figure out how to get better at it. You can't really be confident if you're not competent in something. So you have to do it. You have to just get started. So I feel like listening to you, there were several pieces of your story where it sounds like even with the personal training, right? It's like you just got started, or with the master's degree, you kind of just took that first step. And kind of talking with some of our clientele, we like to talk a lot about how your career is this expansive thing, right? It's the process of becoming. It's not a linear path. That sometimes you kind of have to take these various steps to kind of become who God called you to be. So we talk a lot about that. Could you just sort of describe now for clients, like, how would you say you're going about the next chapter, the next journey? Like, what are some of the obstacles you think you might hit in launching your business? What's that mindset approach you're going to take to overcome them, sort of applying the fitness model to your business model? How will you overcome obstacles with that?
Yeah, another really good question. And they're very transferable. One thing I do with my clients is, one of the first things we do is habit stacking, is what I call it. What habit stacking is focusing on, we pick maybe 1 to 2 habits a week to focus on until that client can nail down those 2 habits. Let's say it's drinking a gallon of water a day and getting a certain step count in. It's just little habits like that until they can consistently, or I like to say persistently, because you're going to have roadblocks come up. I used to say consistent all the time, and now I've loved the word persistence. Persistence allows you to stay consistent despite roadblocks that are going to come up. So habit stacking is something that I do, and that's what you're talking about, staying the course regardless of those setbacks. Because I think what people getting into fitness or maybe even wanting to start your own business see is like, they see point A and they see point B, which is like their type of their success. And they think that it's just going to be a straight path. They think that people in that position got there from just this like straight linear path, like you're talking about. But yeah, I mean, with my business, it's the same thing. I started it while working at F45, just taking online clients. I actually started it in May of 2023. And I just had 5 to 10 online clients that I was just making workout programs for, right? And then as I'm growing with that, I mean, there's bounds of roadblocks, like there was a time where it kind of took a back seat because I was super busy at F45, and that kind of hit me the wrong way because I knew I wanted to grow it, and that was a tough time. But then just ultimately figuring out that, hey, this can be much more than just me making workout programs for people, right? Like I started to help people mentally as well and just develop better habits, better attitudes towards life, being more grateful towards life. Which then was like transitioning into that full-time coaching job and what that all entails, right? But yeah, as far as taking it full-time at this point, it's definitely a very scary risk for me. Obviously, when you have a stable job, that's a guaranteed paycheck, right? Nothing now for me is guaranteed at this point. So it's just working to keeping the purpose of Revitalize, which is the name of my business, at the forefront. And our purpose is to help people realize their true potential, to put it simply. So it comes back to talking about that limiting mind that a lot of people have when they want to start something new or start a new journey. So really helping them figure out what they're truly capable of is our purpose. And I know there's going to be roadblocks, so many. I mean, it's been a journey to even get it started and to where it is now, learning about taxes for one, the financial side of having a business, and taxes took a toll on me last year, but I learned from that. So there's a bunch of things, I think people see people that start businesses, people that are really in shape fitness wise, and they think, man, they've just always been that way. Or they didn't really have to, everyone has a journey. Everyone starts from ground zero, whether it's a process is what I'm trying to say, regardless of where you are, where you came from. You're going to have your own type of roadblocks. You just need to learn to be able to adapt and overcome them as time goes.
I like that. That's the Marine Corps motto, right? Like improvise, adapt, overcome. Yeah, actually, so I really loved what you said, persistence over consistency. Mm-hmm. So one of the key things that I've been working on lately is I used to say I have these creative, deep focus work spurts. So it's like I can get a lot done in the morning, right? And so then it would be, well, I'm not motivated right now.
Yeah.
So I'll put that task off to another time. And one of the things I've been working on, which I think will help viewers as well, is like kind of diving into this subject of your feelings can kind of lie to you, right? So some days you wake up, you're not motivated for your career. You're not motivated to go to work. You're not motivated to go to the gym. And the idea of I'm going to do this anyways, even when I don't feel like it, because I have a vision for a strategy of where I need to be. And then you're looking back and you say, wow, I was persistent through feeling unmotivated, and I was consistent to a certain point. Consistency, I've found, is like the key. A lot of our viewers are really consistent with wanting to get ahead. And I think the mindset is so hard when you're already feeling stuck. So what's one thing somebody could do to kind of get unstuck? Like what's a small step or recommendation you'd have if they want to start cooking for themselves or they want to go to the gym? What's one small thing they could do today?
I think there's one mindset kind of trick that I use, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, to be honest, but I get people ask me a lot, how do you stay so motivated to stay in shape or eat healthy? And I respond the same every time. And I say, I'm not motivated at all. I'm just disciplined, because the fact of it is you're going to be motivated. Motivation is a really, really nice boost when it comes, right? But that's maybe 20, 15% of the time. Motivation is not going to be there a lot of time. That's just the reality. It's not to scare anyone, listening, but you have to learn to be disciplined. And like you said, the idea of doing it when you don't want to do it I listened to the Huberman Lab podcast. In one episode, he talks about this part of your brain called the anterior cingulate cortex, right? So it's this part of your brain that can only grow if you're putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation and doing something you don't want to do that you know is going to benefit you. So if it's eating healthy for you, a lot of people aren't going to be motivated to do that, right? But some small steps you can take. Find someone in your life that has some knowledge nutritionally. Just ask them, maybe start with a small step, maybe a grocery list. That's what I'll start with my clients a lot of the time because they don't even know how to grocery shop, a lot of them,
Mm-hmm.
which I totally understand. The only reason I do is because I was taught. So if you weren't taught, I don't expect you to know how. But just small steps like that, knowing what to get at the grocery store. So then you have that healthy food handy. And
Mm-hmm.
then, that next step is learning how to cook. But it's just, one step at a time, especially with nutrition, because that's a huge, huge aspect of it, of getting in shape.
I love that. The grocery list is key. I think
Yeah.
making a list, right? Marie Forleo is an amazing business coach who she's someone I look up to, and I listen to her podcast. Sometimes she has this awesome segment on the power of one. I'm going to prioritize this one thing today, and I'm
Yeah,
not going to do
exactly.
anything else until that one thing's done. So it's like making a grocery list. It's a great idea. Thank you for sharing that. And then I think just to sort of like wrap stuff up today, because I know we could talk for a long time, but to get in touch with you and either do some digital coaching, nutrition
Yeah.
planning, or even in person, like physical training stuff. What's the best way to do that?
Yeah. You can go ahead, you can leave my cell number in the comments or however you post this to your clients. Our training, my business profile on Instagram is RevitalizeU Training. And then
Perfect.
my personal Instagram is Sean.Rhodes. And the best way to get in touch is really just either text me or message me on one of those platforms. And so on any of those, we are generally pretty quick to respond. So you can reach me there, or like I said, my phone number, my cell is open as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sean.
Yeah,
It was
thank you
great
for
to have
having
you
me.
today. Yeah,
Absolutely.
absolutely. We'll see you soon.